We're going to scroll down a bit now so that we can see the housing, food, and automobile categories. Before we enter any data on these categories, let me explain a basic concept. Categories like housing, automobile, entertainment and recreation, and school childcare are designed to capture the total cost of what is being described. In the case of housing, the cost is the total cost of operating a home. As you look down the list under housing, it's fairly comprehensive. As you look at the list under automobile, it's also a comprehensive list to capture the costs of owning and operating a car or cars. One interesting point for these two categories is that any debt against the house goes into the housing category, not under debts in Category 7. Likewise, automobile payments go under automobiles and not under debts. Be sure not to put them in both places. It would be very hard to balance the budget if that happens. Under housing, we will find rent on the list of check tabs at the top of the list. So we'll click on that, go over and strike it out, click on the blank form tab, and enter the $350 next to mortgage rent. Clicking back to the list of checks, at the bottom of the list is $35 for renter's insurance. After striking that out, it goes on the blank form tab directly under rent. Since Joe Demo is renting, there are no taxes, and further down, water and sanitation are included in the rent. However, electricity is included on the list of checks. So we click on that tab, strike out the $45, and enter it on the blank form. The same is true of the $28 for gas. Telephone of $28 is also on the listed checks. It should be struck out and entered on the blank form next to telephone. Finally, for housing, there is $11.32 on the credit card spending list. We click on that, strike that out, and enter it on the blank form next to maintenance. With the pre-entered formula, the total for housing is $497. Below housing is food. The food category is just for food purchased for home consumption. It should not include eating out or meals purchased at work, but it should include things normally purchased at the grocery store, like paper towels or soap or other things like that. On the list of checks written, click on that, there is a check of $149.56 to Piggly Wiggly, and on the credit card spending list, click on that, there is a charge listed for groceries of $39.45. Both need to be struck out, and the total of $189.01 needs to be entered on the blank form next to food. As a reminder, automobile is to include all the costs of owning and operating your basic transportation. The first line, payments, is filled from the listed checks tab next to car payment. We strike out the $159.23 on that tab and enter the number next to payments under automobile on the blank form. Joe Demo must not drive much, since he only put $35 into his tank using a credit card. We click on that, strike out the $35, click on the blank form, and enter the $35 next to gas and oil. Insurance is paid by check and is most of the way down the list of checks. Again, we strike out the $98.75 and enter it under the $35 on the blank form. Finally, there is a credit card charge of $116.85 for auto repair. We strike that out and enter it next to maintenance under automobile. The total box for automobile now shows $410. Moving down the form again, we get to where we can see insurance and debts. The only insurance that Joe has is co-paid to his employer. It's found on the listed income under other deductions. This is struck out and entered on the blank form under insurance and next to medical. The total box for insurance now shows $30. Remember, this category should not include insurance on the house, apartment, or cars. Joe has 2 credit cards with payments to be entered under debts. They're both on the list of checks and are $25 each. We strike them out and enter $50 on the blank form next to credit cards. The total debts shows the $50. Again, this category should not include a mortgage or car payments. Those are captured under housing and automobile. At this point, we jump back to the top of the form and look at the right-hand column. The first item is entertainment and recreation, and all that Joe has spent on is eating out and activities and trips. His eating out is all in cash and credit card, so we'll click first on the Cash Spending List tab. On the list, there are 2 coffee/tea entries, 2 fast food entries, and 1 restaurant. On the credit card list, there's 1 restaurant entry. The total comes to $79.65, and that is entered on the blank form next to eating out. Back on the cash list, there are 2 entries for county fair. Those total $55.50, and that number is entered next to activity and trips. The entertainment recreation category now totals $135. Joe had 2 purchases of clothing on his credit card. Clicking on the credit card tab, we see shoes of $35.55 and clothing of $12.93, which come to $48.48. Enter the $48.48 onto the blank form next to clothing. Now don't get confused. Joe is not doing any traditional savings. The money taken out of his paycheck, as shown on the list of income, is a retirement contribution. It does not go under savings, but goes under investments. A 401k is a retirement plan, so savings stays as a 0. Next on the list is medical payments. Don't forget that the premium for medical insurance has already been entered under insurance. So what goes here is out-of-pocket payments, like co-pays or deductibles or medical expenses not covered by insurance. Under medical, the first line is doctor. Joe spent $25 on his credit card seeing the doctor. We strike that out and enter that $25 next to doctor. Joe also bought a $10 prescription as shown at the top of the credit card spending list. That gets struck out and entered on the blank form next to prescriptions. Finally, Joe also spent $13.30 on some medical testing using his credit card. We strike that out and put it on the blank form under Other. The total for medical now shows $48. By scrolling down the page again, we can now see the last three categories. Under Miscellaneous, Joe wrote a check, so let's click on the Check tab, for $19 to Supercuts. That gets struck out, and click back to the blank form and entered next to Beauty Barber. He also bought some gifts using cash and credit cards. The cash, let's click on the Cash tab, was $12.45, which is struck out, and the credit cards, clicking on the Credit Card tab, were $25 and $30.70, which are both struck out. This comes to $68.15, which is entered on the blank form next to Gifts. Finally, Joe bought $12.50 worth of stamps using his credit card. We strike that out and enter that on the blank form next to Other. Total Miscellaneous now shows $100. Now, Miscellaneous is the category that catches whatever doesn't go elsewhere. However, it really should not be too big. Most common expenditures should find themselves under categories other than Miscellaneous. The $60 from the list of income, let's click on that tab and strike it out, goes in the box next to Investments on the blank data form. By clicking through the tabs, we should now see that all of the data has been struck out. Further down the form, total living expenses now shows $1,568. We see where the net spendable income was brought down from the top, and the total living expenses was brought down from just above using formulas, and the difference, again using a formula, is $172 per month being overspent by Joe Demo. Now, this has been a long presentation, but it is much simpler than real life or the assigned exercise. I'm sure that this will be helpful to you.